Kenya has reported 1,029 COVID-19 cases with 50 deaths and 366 recoveries. And the other week, we saw that President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta extended the dusk to dawn curfew to further more 21 days. Now, do you think by President Kenyatta's move extending the dusk to dawn curfew by another 21 days, is it mitigating the effects caused by COVID-19, or is it curbing the effects, or rather, is it curbing the spreading of COVID-19? Henry, if you can hear me, what's your take on that issue?
Yes, I can hear you. Well, Abel, when we had our first case of COVID-19 in Kenya, I think the government has really tried to curb the number of cases day in, day out. But one thing that we should know as Kenyans is to follow the necessary instructions that the Ministry of Health, together with the government and necessary stakeholders in the health department and the health ministry, that they are taking to ensure that Kenyans do not have those bad effects of this pandemic. Look like, for example, a case in Italy, the way people are dying, the numbers are rising day in, day out. Brazil, people are dying day in, day out. So as Kenyans, and I would like to congratulate our President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. Indeed, it was a good move to increase the days of the curfew to 6th June, so that we as Kenyans may stay at home, so that we may limit our movements in and out of the counties such as Nairobi, Mombasa, Kwale, and Kilifi counties. So indeed, it's a good move. Let us hope for the best.
Okay, thank you very much. That has been Henry Jefferson on his input about this issue. Now, if I can bring in Alan Polycarp. So far, the Ministry of Health has held 63 press briefings, and from the 6th briefing held by His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, he had directed that the dusk to dawn curfew to be extended by 1 more days. Do you think that measure, the one which the government terms it as one of the stringent measures in combating COVID-19, is very effective in mitigating the spread of COVID-19?
Thank you, Abel, and good morning. As we've seen before, I think this dusk to dawn curfew is quite effective, only that there are other measures that should be added on top of that to make it even more effective, such as cessation and closing of some borders, because at this point, most of our cases are being imported from Tanzania rather than locally bred. If you checked the latest, as we are moving on. And if in case President decided to drop the curfew, then we will be going around with the notion that this situation is over and we can go back to our normal lives. So I think by having the curfew still in place, it keeps people in check and reminds them that we are not done with this. We are still fighting it on, Abel.
Okay, thank you very much, Polycarp. Now you can bring in Bridget Akwenge. Some people have welcomed the move directed by President Uhuru Kenyatta to extend the dusk to dawn curfew to 21 more days, but others have not welcomed that move because they are saying it's hurting them, that is economically ways. Now, Akwenge, what is your take on this issue? Should the president have extended that dusk to dawn curfew, or rather, he should come up with some other solution, because people are crying out here, the economy is too bad, they have no food to eat, they have nowhere to sleep because of rent issues. Now, if you can hear me, what is your take on this issue? Bridget, if you can hear me, what's your take on this issue? Okay, Bridget, please, we have an issue with your audio. If you can just take your audio again, take your audio. Okay, it seems we still have a technical issue on Bridget's side, but we are sorting that out. But meanwhile, if I can come to you, Henry Jefferson, Kenya and Tanzania have been a very good neighbor from a very long time since we gained independence, But recently, it seems like there is a face-off between those two countries, because the other day, President Magufuli ordered one of his CSs, one of his ministers, so that there be no movement of goods or people from Kenya to Tanzania. And also, like we're saying in Kenya, the president directed that people from Tanzania will not be allowed to enter Kenya if they are not going to be tested so as to affirm that they are free from COVID-19. Now, what is your take on this issue? Which solution should the government take, the two governments take so as to solve the issue being experienced at the border point, Jefferson?
Well, I think the first thing that our President Uhuru Kenyatta should do is to pay a courtesy visit to Magufuli. So first thing, he should enable that for those Tanzanian truck drivers who are coming into Kenya, since they have been tested at their border points, and now it's not a time that we should have mistrust issues among our countries and the East African community. If the Tanzanian truck drivers are blaming Kenyan medics that they don't trust their medical kits, testing kits, this is actually not a time that we as human beings, and more so the truck drivers, should be blaming medics from Kenya and medics from Tanzania. So what President Uhuru should do is pay a courtesy visit to President Magufuli, and they should talk as the heads of state on the best way to lead their countries. So to enable the goods within Tanzania and Kenya to move freely within the border. Because as you know, Kenya depends on Tanzania for most of our commodities, such as the oranges, apples, mangoes that come from Tanzania, and even maize. We import some maize from Tanzania through the border in Sirare, and Migori. So a good thing that the president should move on and have a courtesy visit to President Magufuli so that they can solve the issues and enable trade to continue within the two countries.
Okay, thank you much for your input. Now, Bridget, if I can come to you, if you can hear me right now, is that I was asking previously or rather recently, President Uhuru Kenyatta directed that student curfew to be extended to 21 more days. Do you think that stringent measure at the government's summit it will be more effective, or rather it's mitigating or curbing the effects, or rather it tries to help COVID-19 not to spread to the many parts here in the country? Going, if you can hear me, what's your take on that issue? Okay, Bridget, still you don't have your voice. Please check your audio levels again. We don't have your voice. Apologies for that. Now, Alan Polycarp, if you can hear me, so far 182 COVID-19 cases have been detected from Tanzania to Kenya. That is in Namanga. It has been reported that there was around 126, not around, there have been 126 cases. And also in Isabania, there are 14 cases where 10 were from Kenya and 4 were from Tanzania. In Lungalunga, there are 27 cases where 3 were Kenyans and the other 24 were from Tanzania. And also in Holili, there are 25 COVID-19 cases where 2 people were Kenyans and the rest, which is 23, were Tanzanians. Now, Polycarp, if you can hear me, the face-off experience being witnessed at the border point between Kenya and Tanzania, how can those two governments go about it to solve that issue? Because you are seeing truck drivers are being stuck at the border point, and therefore they are carrying perishable goods, and their goods can spoil because of that being kept at that border point for a very long period of time. Now, Alan, if you can hear me, what is your take on that issue?
Abel, thank you. I think there are levels to which government should follow protocol and ensure the safety of its citizens. And I don't mean to say that without the testing abilities of Tanzania, but as a nation, you still have that responsibility of protecting your own citizens. And I believe as much as they're having Tanzanian tests over the border now, back in Kenya it's being redone and they come out positive, then I mean there's some truth to that, even as much as the Tanzanian government says that we are trying to kill its tourism, having been good neighbors with a long history back before independence, when Tanzania gave way for Kenya to be independent before they were. I think we have a strong bond that this situation, the pandemic should not come in between and interfere on our relationship. And it's such a simple matter. I believe that if the two leaders decide to just talk it out, we can strike a deal. And I would recommend maybe a deal such as the one we have with Museveni, where that the truck drivers don't cross over to the other side. Instead, the trucks go. So I think if we can negotiate at least such a deal, or even just talk it out, because both countries are benefiting from the trucks moving around, and as we noticed that Kenya imports goods worth over 18 billion every year from Tanzania. So it's really impacting on our imports and exports as a nation. And during this time, the most we need to export at least the most we can, and not let other issues interfere, because we have already COVID interfering with a lot. So I'll just suggest I have an opinion. Maybe if this situation is beyond the control at the border, then there's no harm in the two countries deciding they're closing down the border, but instead allowing trucks, or maybe allow the trucks cross, but the truck drivers remain on their sides of the border, so that the trucks are exchanged to drivers from each side of the border. So such measures can mitigate the spread and the numbers we are witnessing from the border, considering we have a long stretch of border with Tanzania, which is worth over 700 kilometers. That's a long stretch, and we need to maintain good relations during this time most of all.
Okay, thank you very much, Polika, for your point. Now, Agonge, if you can hear me again, I was asking, recently President Uhuru Kenyatta extended the dusk to dawn curfew rather to 21 more days as one of the measures in curbing the spread of COVID-19. Now, Agonge, if you can hear me again, to you, do you think this measure is more effective? Keeping in mind that many Kenyans have complained that the curfew has really made their economic activities to really decline, and they are crying that they have no food to eat, they have no money to pay for their rent issues. Now, Agungu, if you can hear me, what's your take on that issue? Okay, Agungu, we still have a problem with the audio levels. Maybe if you can remove the earphones and talk to me. If you can remove the earphones, Agungu, we still have a problem with the audio levels, not getting a sound. Okay, come again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go on.
Yeah, I was saying that I really commend the president for the step that he took in adding the days of the curfew. But as you know, Kenyans, there are some areas where people still don't take this curfew seriously. At 7 p.m., you'll still find business going on as usual. And even the Nairobi curfew, the Mombasa curfew, there are some people coming in and going out of Nairobi. So we are wondering, what are the police doing in the roadblocks? What are the police doing in these small areas, in these 8 states, to ensure that the curfew has been enforced? Abel.
Okay, and also joining us right away is Bernard Kigen, who's a political analyst. Good morning, Bernard, to you. And so far, yeah, I can hear you, Agonge. Thank you for your point. Allow me to bring in Kigen Bernard, who is a political analyst. Kigen, good morning and welcome to Fact Check. Now, so far, yesterday only, the Ministry of Health reported that 66 the highest number recorded so far, or rather reported, of COVID-19 cases here in Kenya. And so far, we have 129 cases. And recently, President Kenyatta extended the dusk to dawn curfew to 21 more days, and also cessation of movement in Isli and Alton in Mombasa has also been extended until June 6th. Now, Kigen Bernard, if you can hear me, what is your take on this issue, keeping in mind that as much as it is one of the measures in combating COVID-19, some Kenyans on the other end are crying that they have no food to eat, they have no money to pay their rent because their economic activities have declined because of the curfew. Now, Kigen, if you can hear me, what is your take on that issue?
Good morning, Habel, and thank you for having us this morning. Basically, as we have looked, the measures taken by the Ministry of Health and in conjunction with the government of Kenya has really bear some fruits, as even we have seen the analysis done in comparison with the other countries. Those which have taken those measures like having some cessations of movements in some towns, and as well as the dusk to dawn curfew. I think it's effectively working, and we should really appreciate. Not forgetting that also the citizens also have really taken some efforts to ensure that they abide to these rules. So sometimes actually, in fact, for any step taken by the government, there are some challenges. And actually these solutions also have some its own consequences. For example, like when people don't move from one place to another, so that means that the business don't go on. And these are the main source of income to people. But also we should also see the impact that now, if even if you survive with one meal or twice, and not like regularly anyway, because this is the time only to seek for the basic needs, but not for any luxury. It is much important than even when people could really have so many patients, God forbid if that happens, and even our hospitals could really be overtaken. Like we have so many patients, and you know that our health facilities, we have got very poor infrastructure for that. So as much as you can say, the government of Kenya is really doing much better, as well as the citizens. And we should, what I can say that actually this is for some time only, it won't take for long. So we should just know that this situation is just, if we really abide by these rules and ensure that we take control of this disease, then in some few months, everything will come back to normal, and we will have not lost so much lives. Thank you so much.
Okay, Kigen, thank you very much for your point. Now, if I can bring in once more, Agwenge, if you can hear me. It has been reported that 182 COVID-19 cases have been detected from a neighboring country, that is Tanzania. And so far, recently, we have witnessed that one of the officials, that is the minister in Tanzania, said that they have already banned movement of people and goods from Kenya. And likewise, here in Kenya, the government directed that without people from Tanzania who are coming from Tanzania, if they're not going to be tested to ascertain that they are COVID-19 free, then they will not enter into Kenya. Now, those measures have led to a space of between those two countries. Now, Agunge, if you can hear me, what is your take on this issue? Is there a solution on which can be arrived by the two governments so as to allow drivers who have been stuck at the border point to enable them to transport their goods which are perishable, and they are saying they are countering a lot of losses because their goods are spoiling at the border point? Agunge, if you can hear me, what is your take on that particular matter? Agwenge? Okay, it seems you have a problem with Agwenge. Now, let me go back to Kigen once more again, because I need your input on this point, that 182 COVID-19 cases have been reported to come from Tanzania, where Namanga has recorded 126, Isebania 14 cases, Lunga 27, and Holili has reported 25 cases. And so far, the two governments have banned movement of goods and people at the border point. Like here in Kenya, they have said without them being tested, they cannot be allowed in Kenya. But in Tanzania, completely, the movement of goods and people coming from Kenya to Tanzania. Now, Kigen, what is the possible solution to help in solving that particular matter at the border point?
Thank you so much, Abel. So far, we have seen that these two countries, neighboring countries, that's Kenya and Tanzania, they might have the different perspectives when controlling this disease. We have seen that Kenya's government mostly relies on testing as one of the measures to see the spread of this disease, and even projections, so that you can see some have some projections on medication. But on our neighboring country, Tanzania, they don't rely on testing. But it is quite so sad when you realize that it seems that these two countries are trying to outdo each other on who is doing this right or who is not doing it right. Actually, that should not come at this moment, but we should all combine our efforts and try to cap this disease. For sure, I can say that Kenya is doing much better because at some even cost that some of, at our own cost, some of the drivers from Tanzania are tested here and they are given the disease and they are told that you are not so safe. Go please and seek for medication. Go quarantine yourself, isolate yourself, and don't spread